Welcome back to Speed Gaming, Speed Gamers. We have for you another quad race here. We have two races going on at the same time. On the top of your screen, we have, on the top left, yelsraek, and we have his opponent, TheSabin. On the bottom left corner, we have Rezovayix, and in the bottom right corner, SuperNinTaylor. I am Udaimonistic, and I'm joined by Hiei here on the comms.
Hello, everybody.
And this should be a very exciting race. Here in the top left corner with yelsraek, he has a personal best in this category, no major glitches, of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 48 seconds. He's well known for speed running in the community for the last couple of years. He's been running this category for about 8 months now. You may also see him run Master Sword %, and he's also known for his world records in River City Ransom and Magic Sword. His opponent, TheSabin, very well known for his Final Fantasy VI runs, as I'm sure you can imagine based on the name. He's coming into this tournament with a PB of 1 hour and 28 minutes and 15 seconds, which makes him the current fastest PB in this race. On the bottom left corner, we have Rezovayix. He's been speedrunning for about 1.5 years, about 2 months in this category. He has 3rd place in the main category of Zelda 2. Controversial, potentially, depending on your love for various Zelda games. He also claims to have had the best shoes at AGDQ, something we unfortunately cannot confirm here. And his opponent, SuperNinTaylor, speedrunning for about 2 months now, spending most of it here in NMG. He let us know that he was trying to pick up Super Metroid just 5 days before a tournament there. It looks like Taylor here picks up games quickly. His PB is a 1:34.16.
And we do have 2 races, of course, as Yuda has mentioned. yelsraek and TheSabin is from Patrick Star Group, and Rezo and SuperNinTaylor are from the Snapdragon Group, I believe.
As we get a little further into this group stage, these matches start to become more and more significant for our runners. Everyone's fighting for a chance to either advance out of the group phase, or if they're going to advance out of the group phase, to get the best possible time for seeding for the elimination bracket.
Alright, both opt to use the boom for the keys, right? Usually to clear the text box, you can press L and R for the last part of the text box. What kind of strats do you think we're going to see from the ball and chain guard here? Usually the popular ones, I'd say, is the 8/ or the 1 pot and 4/.
All of our runners are pretty fast. I'm expecting 8/s out of pretty much all of them.
And that's what we get. We get the 8/ strats by all 4 of our runners. Really nice.
It's not terribly uncommon to see people go for the pot anyway. Some people will pick up the pot simply because they want to refresh their health if they've taken a couple of hits on the way down, particularly like a damage boost from one of the blue guards or one of the green guards.
This is the early part of our NMG run. You'll see some of our runners use some pumping strats. We do have a help us sword bot in chat that can help us explain that. But the ideal situation is pumping helps reset the movement speed of Link so that he moves at 2 frames instead of 1. Oh, look, TheSabin's opting to go right route instead of left.
I believe that's the first time I've seen this in this tournament. As I'm sure you can tell, there's not really a big time difference between the two. They're almost identical.
Alright, hopefully we'll get some good RNG. Using the back of this sewer area, we'll see the snake ropas and key rats that will cause some different RNG patterns for our runners.
Looks like TheSabin got the best possible, and SuperNinTaylor had to slash through a couple of them. Rezo managed to get through it pretty cleanly as well. Coming up, we have another great opportunity to take advantage of pumping. When you're moving through water, Link's animation is even slower than moving, in any cardinal direction or diagonal, so we get more value out of it here than we do in most places. Well, I saw a good key rat RNG on the left side of the screen. I don't believe anybody got northwest.
Yeah, it looks like everyone made it out with great RNG today.
By the looks of it, it should be good for a 6-minute sanctuary for just about everybody here.
All of our runners skip the text box from going to that right pattern. You get to skip a text box if you head the door and go right.
Now, we do only have one sub 130 time in this race. I'm wondering if anybody's going to actually skip the Sanctuary Heart.
Doesn't look like it today.
Just for reference, folks out there, that really only saves you like 3 seconds and it jeopardizes your run in the event that you mess up the damage boost later.
Yeah, the Sank Heart actually helps a lot more than people think. Usually top tier runners are the ones who would end up skipping it, usually about sub 125. That's about roughly the time where we see it more often than not.
We're going to notice our runners, for the most part, are going to use a diagonal across the bridge. Because we're moving south and east, there's no benefit from changing directions multiple times. We're going to reset our animation to a slower walk speed. So holding that diagonal is actually faster. Generally speaking, though, our runners are going to want to avoid moving in diagonal directions as a rule. There are some limited situations where it makes more sense to do it that way. As we make our ascent to Eastern Palace, our runners get to showcase a little bit more of our favorite movement technique, pumping. Here on the ladders, these manual staircases, they can press left and right against both walls to get the movement boost, allowing them to mash it a lot more efficiently.
Alright, we're heading towards yet another RNG location. These cannonballs shoot an RNG pattern. Generally, you don't want to zigzag as much through them. Just want to get straight out and out of there. And they're going to head to the Stalfos room. What happens here, Udai?
Here in the Stalfos room, we have 4 Stalfos that are supposed to spawn. By simply positioning the spawn based on where Link is, because it's based on where Link is actually at on the screen, we can make one of them spawn off screen and the other will spawn underneath the pot, so it doesn't even spawn at all. By throwing 2 pots, we're able to kill these Stalfos actually before they even really show up on the screen. Doing so optimally allows the runners to skip basically half the room, and if they're lucky, they may even get a magic drop that can save them a few frames during the fill sequence after they kill the Armos Knights.
Ooh, looks like yelsraek is gambling a little bit on the arrows there. Most runners would pick up the 5 arrow pot there, hoping that they don't have to worry about arrows when they fight the Armos Knights, which arrows is the most effective weapon against them.
There's always a chance that they can get an arrow drop through some of the enemies they're going to kill, but it's generally faster to pick that up than to, say, grab them in the room before Armos Knights.
Here's another instance of pumping. Since they're going left, we can use that there through those rails.
We also have our damage skip here. We're going to use a damage boost to get invincibility frames. That way we can pick up the pot under the anti-fairies. Once those invincibility frames run out, if you're standing on the switch, you'll take another shot, but it does spawn the big key chest without having to kill all the enemies in the room. Big time save.
Actually, walking cardinally is faster than diagonally. This, I don't think the wiki is This probably says the other way around. Pretty sure. And yes, these are the vanilla locations of our items. Are mostly going to be in the big chests.
These cannonballs can spawn in a completely random way, so our runners had to just simply dodge them, avoid as much damage as possible walking into the next couple of rooms. The skeletons spawn in the same position as most enemies do in the game, with a couple of rare exceptions, but they do move randomly.
Looks like Sabin's doing top right strats for Armos Knights, which is the most common.
And there are multiple setups that our runners can do for this. This is just the most common one. It's pretty easy to reproduce every time. The actual differences between our strats are not going to be a significant difference. It's going to be a handful of frames. All of our runners managed to get through without running out of arrows before killing Armos. Yelsraek is going to have to try to find some arrows in the next couple of dungeons.
All right, let's see what happens here when they talk to Sashala. I like how they talk to Sashala more at a lower point. You don't really have to be touching him all the way up to speak to him, actually.
So far, it looks like our runners on the right-hand side and Rezovayix, they're all going for the tree rupee route. There are some rupees in the back of Sahasrala's hut here that we can bonk into that wall to access, the 100 rupees that we would use to open Palace of Darkness. All of our runners have opted to skip it, so they're going to rely on some rupees that are going to be pulled from a tree twice to have those same rupee counts.
We also have the first instance of spin speed being used there. It's activated by, of course, releasing your spin attack and then pressing the dash button. And then you have to take one step in order to activate your super speed, and it's like you're with your dashing speed the entire time in that state. And you'll know it because you won't be able to slash your sword. And you will see that once again when they get to the library here. SuperNinTaylor just did that for us.
Yep, the actual window for hitting that and saving time is pretty narrow, so some runners opt to skip it entirely, although it is definitely a great time save if you can pull it off regularly. You can even do it leaving the library on the way back. We'll get another attempt to do that spin speed later where it's going to matter much more while we're passing some very angry, very red enraged guards.
Looks like our runners are dashing through swamp area here. Try to not step into tall grass and such because that also slows down movement, so this is why they optimized this route this way.
Yep, we call that one the water dash because you get to be right at the edge of the water, but you don't get any of the reduced movement speed from actually walking through water. We did get to see the TheSabin in the top right corner take advantage of a nice pause buffer. When you need to switch to an item anyway and you want to change directions, it's much more efficient to use the pause screen there, like you see on Rezovayix's screen, to change directions and lose no time from your input.
Alright, on the TheSabin screen, he's probably going to do the poke and dash through strat there. Yeah. Rezo with the spin technique. Then Taylor does the poke and dash technique there too as well. Here's some RNG in the cannonball area.
And the TheSabin gets good RNG with the cannonballs, is able to dash right through.
Yeah, usually a good indicator in stepping in that room is you use your listening. If you hear a cannonball, you know you're probably going to have to adjust when you dash through that room. Taylor got some good RNG too. Oh, on the way back he had to adjust though.
If I recall correctly, you can avoid that on the way back if you walk all the way to the sand and then start your dash. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes you can. And you also see all our runners pick up arrows as well through this dungeon, because this boss is also very vulnerable to the arrows.
If you hit every single arrow, you need at least 12 to finish off Lamolus using just arrows. It's very easy to miss your arrows against that boss, though, so our runners are going to try and max out as much as they can.
Ooh, the TheSabin goes for sprint speed right there. That's often the most risky, because if you fall, it's like a minute of time lost there.
For those of you who have never done spin speed or super speed before, simply touching a ledge will make you auto-hop it, so it's very close and very tight there. He has to basically only hold up. If he holds right at all, he's pretty much fallen off.
And Taylor also pulls up that risky maneuver, and Rezo's demonstrating the key dash for us through the room. Care to explain how that works?
Absolutely. So in this game, Link's detection for his collision only happens once every 4 frames. As it turns out, that's actually the number of pixels that's the number of pixels per second that Link moves when he's dashing. I've got that wrong. But that's the increment that you can dash with. You can line up with objects that are basically lined up along that kind of coordinate grid. You just need to line up with an object in the room, like a torch or a pot. If you're aligned with it, you will dash through the door, and the door will open in the same frame as you continue to dash through it.
Alright, our RNG boss here. Lambo always pops out of these holes in the same position in the first cycle, but the way he pops out is different. It's all random. And then the holes that he jumps out of later on are all random as well. So this is one of those bosses where it's really tough to practice. You have to understand most of the patterns.
I believe the TheSabin had a 3 cycle. That was really good.
One problem is when you shoot the arrow, you won't be able to shoot another one until your arrow hits the wall. So that's why they're trying to hit the arrows to these boss heads as close as they can so they don't miss.
This also makes it a bad idea to try to spam the item button to use the bow and arrow. You can actually have the game eat your inputs if you haven't had that arrow collide yet.
It's really nice to see an in-sync battle here between Rezo and SuperNinTaylor. They both go for the sandworm slash dash strat.
And this is a frame-by-frame race at the bottom.
TheSabin will be first to head to the fake flipper section. What he's going to do is this glitch where you don't have to have flippers, and you're going to screen transition as you jump into the water, and it makes it so that the game thinks, oh, I don't know where to put you, but we'll just let you by with that.
Just to give everybody an update on that bottom race, where they are in their standings for their group. Right now, Rezovayix has 1 win for his 1 race that he's done so far. SuperNinTaylor, a win and a loss each. So SuperNinTaylor here is fighting for his tournament life, presuming that everything doesn't shake out differently in the group. Rezovayix looking to get a commanding presence for his guaranteed seed.
Alright, looks like all 4 of our runners successfully completed the fake flippers. The one scary part of it is if you do get hit while you're in the fake flipper state, you can have a chance of soft blocking. And then in the tourney, we're allowing our runners to continue at this time by beginning at Link's house by saving quitting. But in general, we don't allow that.
So far, it doesn't look like anybody's had any trouble with the dead rocks yet. That's a breath of relief.
And as you guys mentioned earlier, the unique part of spin speed is utilized over here to try to avoid these boulders and dead rocks along the way.
You say boulders, I swear it's like flying cabbage.
Yeah, that's true. They sure look like flying cabbage.
We do get an opportunity to see some of our runners using the quick warp on the first portal here in Death Mountain. Depending on where the camera is positioned for Link, warping on certain Y pixels on the screen will allow the warp animation to complete faster, presumably because of less lag. I haven't heard a perfect technical explanation for that, but it's pretty much free. You just got to know how you need to enter the portal. You can do this with a mirror as well. Very handy throughout the run to save some time.
And we did have someone in chat mentioned what kind of swords they're going to pick up. Well, it depends on the runner, but in most cases we get the tempered sword for our general route. We do have other categories where runners will pick up Master Sword and such, and that's low percent because you only need the basic items you need to complete the game in that, and that's why we call it low percent.
And that's not to say that a runner couldn't complete the game with just Master Sword. It's just, you know, with the Argus being 2 swipes per puffball, with Ganon being 24, per phase, that's rough. You know, it's much better to get the tempered.
And that's why the NMG run is so unique. Even though the game kind of wants you to finish certain dungeons a certain way, it's kind of opened up after Palace of Darkness.
So far, it doesn't look like anybody's pulled off the swag boom dash here in Hera Basement. However, one thing that we'll get to see the first instance of is when you're standing on a switch, when it pops up, the pegs, they'll actually give Link invincibility frames. So if our runners wanted to, they could take a quick coffee or tea break, depending on which version or country you hail from, how you want to call that.
Alright, Rezo's using the hard hat beetle room. He's pushing these beetles through the holes here in the pit, and then using one pot to get past the other one. SuperNinTaylor tried to go for the optimal strat of slashing the hard hat beetle into the hole and hitting the switch at the same time.
We do get to see on the TheSabin screen him doing a bomb jump to get the Moon Pearl early. Normally we'd have to fall through a hole in the floor, but if you're standing within a certain window, say 2 pixels from the edge if you place the bomb close enough, or if you place the bomb and then do a dash into the wall next to it, you'll have the opportunity to bonk across to get this early. This is a great time to save. Looks like Rezovayix had to pick up another bomb, though. He accidentally picked up his bomb after he placed it.
Makes it successfully the second time around.
As the TheSabin enters Moldorm, both of our racers in the bottom screen have 1 heart walking into this fight, and none of them got the safety switch. It'll be a very close fight against Moldorm for both of these runners. As the TheSabin wraps up his Moldorm fight, it looks like we got 4 out of 4 for bomb jumps from our runners. It's very costly to miss that bomb jump. You fall 2 floors down, so very happy to see that out of our runners tonight.
Looks like yelsraek made the bumper skip there, as you can see through most of our runners ended up doing so. Oh, this is a north and south situation with yelsraek right there. You don't want to jump into the ring with Moldorm when he does that. He can actually knock you out of the ring.
Looks like SuperNinTaylor's repeating the fight. Other than that, though, we have 3 clean Moldorm kills, and we should be all heading to that Master Sword shortly. We'll also get the opportunity to see the tree rupee route from the TheSabin here in the top right. He pulls on that tree just outside of the cave. He now needs to kill 4 enemies without taking any damage, and the next tree pull that he does will be 4 red rupees, which will get him into the Palace of Darkness once we've defeated Aghanim.
One very important thing to note is on the tree rupee route, you can't get hit. If you do get hit, it resets the trees once again, and you'll end up having blue rupees. So in order to get the red rupees that he wants, he has to kill 4 enemies without getting killed, without any damage as well.
Looks like the TheSabin's the first to the Master Sword with a 24:30 walking into it. All of our runners on a great pace so far. On the left-hand side, we saw Rezovayix pick up his mushroom on the way to the Master Sword. So far, that's the first mushroom we've seen picked up.
The worry about that is sometimes you end up picking it up again as you head out, and that's why runners choose to pick it up the second time around than the first time, but it makes no difference.
TheSabin pulling off his 4th kill in the tree pull. He did not pick up his mushroom on the way through, so it looks like he's going to go pretty much safety-less throughout this run.
Alright, let's see the fence dash here by TheSabin. Nicely executed. It's also important that they maintain their sword beams because there's some strats they can do in that first room if they maintain their sword beams, and with good arrow count.
On the bright side, it looks like Rezovayix did not accidentally pick up the mushroom twice. Happy to see that. That's a easy mistake to make if you grab it early. And yelsraek did pick up his mushroom, so if there's a death in the top race on the TheSabin side, that would be an opportunity for yelsraek to take the lead here.
It looks like TheSabin preserved the prize pack countdown. That's why you see him dash through enemies instead of slashing through them. They're trying to preserve that for a later dungeon in Turtle Rock because these same enemies in the same prize pack will appear in Turtle Rock then.
It's also worth noting that dashing through an enemy will never give you a drop unless it's like a required drop, like a key.
Alright, with no sword beams, let's see what Rezo decides to do here. Oh, he decides to still do the strat, but he's probably utilizing arrows a little bit more. Yes. But yelsraek decides to use the serve it up Din strat. Once
now I'm hungry.
Yep. Hungry for some soldiers, huh?
Since I mentioned it before for the bottom race, just want to give our viewers an update on the top race. Right now, TheSabin is in a commanding presence in his group. He has 2 wins in the group. yelsraek is 1-1. So this is also a fight for his tournament destiny on yelsraek's side. TheSabin looking for the fastest possible time so he gets the best seeding for the elimination.
And Taylor also preserving that manipulation fairy here, using that sword beam in the slash. Oh, she's gonna have to improvise now. He didn't get the fairy, so that's good.
It's really tough with those guards, because if you miss at all, I mean, they're chasing after you a lot faster than most guards in this game.
Well, TheSabin's probably going to be the first to head to our next RNG boss here. Care to share what happens with Aghanim?
Absolutely. So Aghanim 1, as we're going to have a rematch later on in the game, is a classic instance of Zelda volleyball. That's right, folks. It started here. So we have a 5-attack cycle here with Aghanim. Aghanim is going to have his first attack be a reflective energy ball. You can always reflect that back in every cycle. Attacks 2, 3, and 4 have a 50-50 chance, basically a coin flip, of being either a reflective attack or a blue ball. And as I'm sure you can imagine, there's lots of great puns there. We don't like blue balls in this community. Every one of them is non-reflective, like you saw on the TheSabin screen, and it wastes time. There's a double whammy, too, because the 5th attack is a lightning attack, and we can't reflect that. We just have to wait. So if you have too many blue balls, you'll have a whole extra attack cycle to deal with there. TheSabin so far walking in with 2 out of his first cycle. That's bad luck.
And the maximum amount without missing any energy balls is 15 blue balls that you can obtain.
But hey, that would never happen in a tournament, right?
No, it should never happen.
Not even once.
Nope, not even once.
I believe that was his 3rd.
Yep. That goes into another lightning phase cycle here.
Just as a frame of reference, folks, on average, most runs will get you around 3. If you get more than that, it's kind of rough. If you get less, you're feeling pretty good about it. TheSabin getting a very average Aghanim fight with just 3.
And then one thing the runners are doing is trying to hit Aghanim towards the center to reduce the teleportation time that he does into the next time he shoots an energy ball or so. That's kind of the one thing they can do to kind of make this fight a little bit faster.
And of course, it can potentially work against you. I mean, his warps are random, but on average, you will almost always be faster if you're knocking him towards the center.
All right, the Sabin's going to execute the quick hop here a little bit, saves a little bit of frames, so you're able to get down off that ledge quickly. And then he's using that spin speed technique once again. One important point about dashing I want to mention is you want to try to maximize your dash as much as you can. So the earlier you can start it, the more time you'll be saving.
And of course, changing direction is a big time loss whenever you're trying to do a long dash like that. I believe we have 4 blue balls on both yelsraek and SuperNinTaylor's screens so far. So yelsraek ending with 4, Rezo with 3, and TheSabin with 3. Overall, pretty average RNG. And I think 3 for SuperNinTaylor as well.
Aha! We see the first instance of Kiki here. What TheSabin tried to do is get the monkey off his back much faster and closer so that he opens the entrance more. That's why you see him move down a little bit and then up when he opens the pod entrance there.
So that actually does reduce lag, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does. And it also gets Kiki to jump off to open that switch sooner.
After our runners have paid the Kiki Mafia to enter the Palace of Darkness, we have ourselves a great collectathon of keys and big keys. We do also have a really great skip that I believe most of our runners are going to be trying. It's called Hammer Jump. Yeah, do you mind explaining that one?
Well, the hammer jump is a 2Y pixel perfect trick, where 1, you have to position the bomb in the perfect position, and then 2, Link has to move in the right position. We'll probably see a bunch of variety of strats for that. Some players like to use pause buffers, select buffers, and some people like to use sword buffers.
And if that weren't enough, you're on a collapsing bridge, and some people throw an extra bomb over while they're at it just to make the next part even faster. You're going to see, like PA said, a diversity of strategies here.
Sabin will probably be the first to show us this technique. See how he does this.
As for total time save, I mean, depends on the runner, but you're usually looking at about 30 to 40 seconds for most people.
He's demonstrating the pause buffer way. Oh, he positioned 1 bomb, so he's going to reset here.
It's good that he had extra bombs, because that's a really punishing jump to miss. Those 2 bombs in the pots at the bottom of the bridge are probably the easiest places to pick up more, but if you're going to use 2 in this screen, it's very rough if you miss it.
Now he's using the pause buffer of the shadow of the bomb, and then also another sword buffer just to make sure he's got it.
Definitely a great second attempt on that.
The great part about a pod is you get plenty of bombs here, so this is a good restocking place. As long as you mirror and restart the dungeon, those bombs will be there again.
One thing our runners may also want to pay attention to leaving this dungeon is exactly how many bombs they have left. There are only a few more instances of bombs being used in the run. We'll have a bomb jump for Swamp Palace, or not Swamp Palace, for Skull Woods, and we'll also use one against Tower and in Misery Mire. But beyond that, there are a couple of instances where we can save some time by using our last bomb to automatically switch to the next weapon.
All right, looks like all three are, I mean, four of our runners here are executing this bomb jump. Let's see how well. Looks like we're 3 for 3, 4 for 4. Oh, the Taylor almost had it.
He was just 1 pixel too low with his bomb placement.
He's got to be careful because if he falls in the pit here, he also restarts. Because you also lose a heart for falling. Nice.
Good to see him come through in the second attempt. So we had 2 first tries and 2 second attempts. All in all, that's really good for this jump. This is one of the hardest bomb jumps in the entire game.
He might opt to death warp because he's low on health, which is a smart thing to do.
Yep, he was going to mirror anyway. You might as well have the health walking into Helmasaur King. You're going to get 3 hearts here. Yelsraek just picked them up.
And you also want to have Sword Beam, so it kind of saves you a menu because there's some crystal switches that NMG's going to hit too.
Looks like TheSabin's the first one into the Helmasaur King fight. He has to hammer 17 times on the shell to get it to destroy. After that, we have the Enrage phase of Helmasaur King where he can do any of his attacks all at once. He has a Tail Swipe, a Fireball they were about to see, but TheSabin manages to wrap it up before them with 3 hearts to spare. Very clean fight.
On Rezo's side, you can see the turtle room, which TheSabin has passed through, but there's quite a few strats to go through here. Rezo going for the general strat that we usually see. You hold out your sword, and then you, once it charges up, you hammer again, and you spin attack, and then the remaining 2 you use a hammer for the rest.
It's a very important room for our runners because we don't have a lot of health yet in this run, and to lose any hearts here is very costly if we have to, do any kind of backup strategies for Helmasaur King.
One strategy most of our runners do during the Helmasaur fight is on that last 17th hit, if he spawns a fireball on the screen and then you break his mask, it'll despawn all the fireballs.
Very important thing to remember about that is that the fireball needs to be released before it'll despawn.
Yep. Looks like Rezo's opting to use some arrows here. Just gotta be careful. One more. And
it's a tough shot to make, but you definitely get to avoid a lot of the more dangerous attacks. Like the Tail Swipe usually isn't going to hit you if you can hit him with an arrow.
Oh boy, Yelsraek! Oh!
Yelsraek was in a really tough spot there. He had to choose between the Fireball and the Tail Swipe, both of which were going to knock him out. He almost got away from it too, but that being said, it's not a gigantic time loss. He's got a couple minutes to get back to the Helmasaur King fight. That's a tough, costly death, though.
All right, TheSabin's heading to the screen where he's going to pick up our shovel here. It's our first fetch quest item here. But I'm sure he knows where exactly is this fetch quest item.
Yeah, I think that your advice throughout this tournament's really paying off for people. I mean, he gets in one dig, he just goes straight up from that portal. Clearly, this thing is working out this way.
Yes, the one dig. I like how he did that. Why he positioned that portal low is so he can save an input. Because when Link faces up, he actually digs to his right all the time. So, kind of saves you an input for not having to face right and dig. And there you go. As Yudai mentioned earlier, the fastest soldier in Hyrule is that red guard right there. We call him Usain Bolt. And TheSabin just had a little foot race with him right there.
Usain Bolt does have a brother over by the Magic Hut, but we don't really get any calls or texts or letters from that guy. We don't see him too often.
And of course, we've seen 2 of our runners already execute an item dash there earlier, but this is probably my favorite one, is the hammer dash here in SuperNinTaylor screen. Oh, he's going to have to get these enemies out of the way for a second.
Looks like we get our revenge battle against Helmsaur King and yelsraek screen. He has full health, so this should be a much easier fight.
And fantastic. We see the free quick work too on the SuperNinTaylor side, that's so.
Yeah, so you'll notice that he entered the portal just north of Kakariko, just barely to the left of it. Like we mentioned before, it's based on a Y pixel, so you just gotta pan the camera to the right position.
Looks like Rezo also showed the foot chase against Usain Bolt successfully.
The Olympic Committee wants to drug test Link for doping.
And he's gonna once again show the swag spin dash here, using the steps. All right, we're 3 for 3 on this Usain Bolt chase here today.
Now, this is an opportunity for our runners to have a bit of a route divergence. We saw that yelsraek did pick up the mushroom, TheSabin did not, so TheSabin went straight for Thieves Town, as we see Rezovayix on his screen going for. Runners that pick up their mushroom can either elect to get their powder after they've received the flute. You can get it earlier, but it's a bit of a time loss. Most runners will wait until they pick up their flute at least. And we could also see it after Skull Woods as well, if our runners feel confident in the next 2 dungeons.
Another trick that our runners like to do recently is using the fake powder. And that's something where you have depleted your magic and have the Cane of Samaria, and you try to use your Cane of Samaria and then switch to the mushroom. Then you have an instance of powder at that point.
And I don't believe you have to press anything. Just simply switching to that mushroom just automatically powders as you leave that menu. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
For how fast it is to pick up the mushroom compared to getting powder, if you're really only looking for 1 or 2 instances of it, very useful glitch to take advantage of, particularly when you know you're going to have low magic.
Alright, we're just making through Thieves Town by the TheSabin here. He's probably going to go for another key dash to the big key chest here. Nicely made.
And we are 4 for 4 for Usain Bolt. All right.
I wonder if we're going to have any route divergence here. Will yelsraek change it here? Might be grabbing powder. Depending on, usually I can tell is based on where the runner's facing or how they activate the flute. Gives me a tell of when they're going to do this.
And it looks like we have TheSabin, the first one into the scripted blind fight. This fight happens the exact same way every single time as long as you make the same inputs. The idea here is our runners want to hit the head as soon as possible at every opportunity so that these cycles are predictable as always. If you do it right, you can usually take little to no damage and finish blind on the left side of that light pane. We had a pretty close to we were almost perfect fight from TheSabin. He took a couple of hits of damage though. We did have yelsraek pick up his powder, which is very useful safety to be getting before Thieves Town. Thieves Town, we start seeing those anti-fairies show up in a little bit larger numbers, so it's definitely a great place to, like after the Hellway, for example, you want to make sure that you have as much health as possible walking into blind fight, particularly if you're not sure if you're going to get the perfect scripted fight every time.
Alright, seeing a nice key dash by Rezo get into the Titan's big chest. We can see on the TheSabin side, he's pick up some rupees now because we have an extortionist flipper salesman that we're going to have to deal with for pretty soon.
You know, for the price that he's you know, asking us to pay for these flippers, you think he's giving scuba lessons too?
Now, the only reason why we're picking up those flippers, we haven't figured out any way around Swamp Palace without flippers yet. So if you do figure that out, please do tell us.
All the while, it looks like Rezo had a perfect blind fight. He may have taken a hit there, but he got the fast kill, which is what's most important. Excellent wrap-up from him, and we're going to see SuperNinTaylor after the same fight right now. Looks like a clean first and almost a perfect second cycle. He did take a slight hit there, which knocked him off to the side where he wasn't able to get the third slash in time. But with the second and third, he wraps it up. Very nice.
Very, very nice. And yelsraek will be our fourth runner heading through the hallway here. Even though if you do get the God Pixel heading in, you still have to deal with RNG. Because the enemies may be positioned in ways that you may not like, and you still have to avoid them. Alright, the TheSabin is on the most important screen. This is what we call the fence dash here. Let's see if he makes it. Oh, we are successful with the fence dash. We all go home, everybody.
I did actually get an explanation of that recently. I appreciate you people letting me know. But basically, you just need to walk one pixel to the left after you leave that screen from the blacksmiths. And that lineup does get you the fence dash every time. It's just very hard to move one pixel. You pretty much have the input for one frame.
Of course, armed with the tempered sword, we do lots more damage than we did than the master. Also makes the Ganon fight much easier because now you can actually slash Ganon instead of spin attacking each phase.
And barring any unforeseen route changes, this is likely to be our last sword upgrade for the game for our runners. So we're working with this bread sword, as I like to call it, or I don't know, there's a lot of different names for it. But this is going to be the sword upgrade that we're running the rest of the game with. We'll see in a little bit when they go to Swamp Palace that it's going to be a little overpowered for where they're at. It's definitely a big help for this Skull Woods and Mothula, where every bit of damage we can get is going to make that a lot easier.
Alright, we see our second instance of the bomb jump here by TheSabin. Makes it successful.
You even managed to cut a few Moldorms out of the equation. Usually those are a little bit more annoying to deal with. They can knock you right back off that ledge.
Hey, we are 2 for 2 on Fence Dash today. Living up the hype now.
We have Mutsky in chat asking about why TheSabin is using bombs for his bomb jump. Are you implying that he would hover it instead? yelsraek having a good blind fight so far.
Should get out of it one more slash. It only takes 3. Oh, good.
Got a little close there. The fireballs only do 1 heart of damage, but if you collide with one of those flying heads, that's 2. Same thing with hugging blinds, so you gotta be careful there. We do get a really nice mummy or Gibdo hell way out of TheSabin here. He manages to avoid taking any damage there.
And meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor goes for the fence dash. We are 3 for 3 now.
No pressure, yelsraek.
Meanwhile, TheSabin showing us the spike strat, killing that mummy there. Oh, he wisely picks up that bomb. He knows he needs it for later. Alright, the Mafia fight. This is the fight where runners will try to go for a poke dash, so it hits Mafia twice in the beginning. And then it'll take 2 more slashes after that with the Tempered Sword. But the problem is, as you can see, well, he's not taking any damage. Why? Because when he gets hit into the spike, he doesn't get hurt.
Yep, within a certain window, it just overrides any damage you just did. So our runners want to keep Mothula towards the center of the screen. TheSabin did adjust very well, though, and managed to finish him off using a combination of Sword Slashes and his Fire Rod. One thing that a newer runner may want to know about this fight is you can usually get Mothula unstuck off the wall using the knockback from the Fire Rod. It's a very effective tool for that. We have SuperNinTaylor doing his bomb jump to pick up Fire Rod. He uses a little bit of a exploit of the ledges to line himself up. If you time a dash or cancel it while you have your sword outstretched, you can actually put yourself in the closest to the edge pixel. Very handy for getting tight bomb jumps without trying to do the bonk. Rezo getting picked up by a floor master. That's rough luck when you're walking through that hellway. All throughout Skull Woods, there are these floor masters when you're inside any of the rooms of the dungeon except the boss room. They will pick you up and bring you back to the entrance you came from.
Alright, TheSabin's now off to do the fetch quest. We need to get our Quake Medallion and we need to get our flippers. But before that, he's going to head into this place what we call the lottery. And that's because one of these jumpy critters can jump in the wrong direction and often hit you for 2 hearts of damage.
And if I understand it correctly, it's a 50-50 chance you can just get hit no matter what, whether you do it right or not.
That is true. Oh, NMG! Ugh! You had to battle some hearts there. Going in here is pretty dangerous with just 1 heart.
And for all we know, it could be for the better anyway. That way he has a little more health walking into Mothula. However, Rezovayix does take the lead with that by a bit of a margin now that he has Mothula taken care of. After having been picked up by that floor master, that's got to be great for him.
He's opting these lamps because, yeah, you're going to have to manage your magic here. He's going to probably fire out the last one just in time. There you go.
He will not have the use of his Fire Rod throughout this boss fight unless he picks up the magic pot on his way down there, though he'll only get 1 shot out of it.
Ooh, nice fairy.
He does get a clutch fairy, though. Wow.
Yeah, that fairy is actually part of that prize pack that we were mentioning earlier about the Murder Soldiers in Hyrule Castle. It's because that Helmosaur is part of that prize pack as well.
And SuperNinTaylor wraps up his Mothula fight very cleanly, only taking 1 hit in the process and also bumping into his spike. This is going to help him get back into the race with Rezo, who is on his way to pick up Quake and Flippers, which TheSabin is on his way returning from. TheSabin's going to take a Wart Portal, or Whirlpool, outside of Zora's domain to head back to Ice Palace, which is our next dungeon.
He's also trying to maintain the sword beams through the couple of first rings in there. That's why he's... Yep, that's why he's holding out here a little bit. Doesn't want to get hit. Have those sword beams. Goes for the quick warp as well into Ice Palace. That one is from the left.
Yeah, you just explained the quick warp, right?
Yep.
Perfect.
Rezo's gonna do a quick warp here. That's why he's bonking off the side here.
That trick and many others in this game, the exploits that we use, many of them have really great setups. We'll see a couple of really great examples, say in Swamp Palace, where you can line up a really great hookshot clip with certain other item dashes. There are many ways that we make this game as consistent as possible, because consistency is what matters the most in this run. RNG only has so much of an impact.
Alright, yelsraek is in the Mothula fight. As you can see, the longer the fight takes, the more frustrating it is, because all these spikes are moving all over the place on you. But he does survive nicely, clutch it through. And Taylor opts to grab his powder right now. This is actually a little bit faster because if you do grab it sooner, it's about 8 seconds of difference.
Simple reason for that, we're heading this way anyway to pick up the flippers, so it's much better than having to do the extra flute screen earlier on. A lot of newer runners will grab it before Thieves Town simply for the safety, but here in Ice Palace, it's probably the most important. We have TheSabin doing his bomb jump. Ice Palace bomb jump is a gigantic time save. We get to skip almost half the dungeon because of that. He gets it in his first try. That's excellent. That's another 2 pixel perfect positioning, both for Link and the bomb.
Of course, he's waiting out for the fire bar to go out. Doesn't want to get hit anymore.
So not only is it a little bit faster to be picking up the powder at this point if you're going to, it's also more important. Ice Palace is a very punishing death to take, no matter where you are in the dungeon. One of our runners is going to have magic to get back into the dungeon, so if we make it all the way to Cold Stare, the boss, which TheSabin is about to, you have to use all of your magic just to even fight the boss. Your best recourse at that point is to either go to Kakariko and bonk the tree, or more likely our runners would simply try to farm the pickles just outside the front door for the magic drops there. You only need 1 fire rod shot to get back in, but sometimes it's just very tough to find.
Right, the TheSabin just cruised through all of Ice Palace really quickly before our eyes. He's now in the Cold Stare fight. This is where you need all this magic for, is you do need to use all the full magic bar in order to break through the ice here. Unless you have sword beams, you can then utilize that strat along with your fire rod shots to break the ice even sooner.
Looks like TheSabin went for a 6-slash technique, did very well to keep them in the corner. It gets very scary once these Cold Stare eyeballs start bouncing around. They move in the same pattern as you might expect Argus to move. However, if they give you a hug, that's 4 hearts of damage, and at this level with only green mail and only about 10 hearts to work with, assuming you walk in with full health, you don't have a lot of margin of error. It's very important for our runners to keep them all together. Here on Rezo's side, we see the Ice Palace bomb jump skip. He also gets on his first try with a swag hammer dash afterwards. Very nice. We're seeing now the difference between having grabbed that powder or not. SuperNinTaylor is just entering Ice Palace. Presuming that there are no deaths on Rezo's side, this will be a hefty advantage for him.
Now here's might be some route divergences. Some players will opt to grab the Ether Medallion and Ice Route at this time because they want to preserve their health for Mire. Or some of our times our players just go to Swamp at this moment. So let's see what TheSabin decides to do. He's probably just going to go Swamp if you see him at Link's house. Gets that 50-50 bomb out of the rock over there.
Game's being a bro right now. He needs that bomb.
Does go for the Quick Warp, also kills the Octorok, which actually helps reduce the lag when he transitions as well.
That instance of the Quick Warp, we want to go to the bottom left corner, just slightly off center of the warp tile there. As we mentioned before, it's just based on Y pixel positioning of the camera. Now on Rezo's screen, he managed to get most of the slashes in on Cold Stare, has 2 of them going down at once, and it looks like he's going to wrap this up just fine. He had 1 hit to take as a margin of error there. One thing you may see newer runners do, or pretty much any runner in this situation, when you're killing these eyeballs for Cold Stare, you can destroy 1, you'll have a lot of lag on screen while it explodes. Every boss in this game is made of C4. And this allows you to line up your next shot better. SuperNinTaylor pulling off the Hammer Dash Ice Palace Bomb Jump strat very effectively. He's going to have to watch out for this fire bar, though, which can easily knock you off and force you to redo the trick.
Meanwhile, we're in Swamp Palace where there's water. As you already know, water slows down our movement, so trying to dash through and save as much frames as we can.
Boonder in chat asking about how yelsraek ended up behind. He's not taking a different route. He had an unfortunate death to Helmasaur King in Palace of Darkness. TheSabin's also on a really fast pace right now, so to be most of the way, or at least halfway through Swamp in a moment at an hour in is a really great pace to be at. Here on SuperNinTaylor's side, we get to see the Cold Stare fight coming up, and yelsraek in the top left is going to attempt his Ice Palace Bomb Jump. Lineup looks good on my screen.
Ooh, Dust goes for the most optimal kill with the 2 poke dashes, then the spin attack.
Okay, good. I didn't catch the last part of that. I had to refresh stream. Looks like we got the bomb jump. Well, yelsraek is working on the bomb jump. He had a pretty good setup before, but I think he was just 1 pixel off. He has the link positioning now. Does he get the bomb positioning on his adjustment? It looks good. He's still adjusting.
Uh-oh. Now he doesn't have enough health, so I don't know what he's going to do. He's probably going to hit the switch. Oh, this is going to be rough.
I think he's looking for that heart.
I know, but it's going to be hard to try to get one here.
That's a pretty low drop rate for those, isn't it?
Yes, it's pretty low. Oh, he decides to warp out. There are fairies in the room. What if he wants to leave here and mirror transition? In the light world, if you go in the cave and you bomb to the right, there are fairies in that cave.
Yes, at the Ruby Fairy. Mm-hmm. We don't get to see that too often, but if you happen to have Bugnet at this point in the game and you had to come back out of the dungeon anyway, it'd be a good time to pick one up.
He's probably gonna powder the thing here because he can bunny beam. There's a bunny beam underneath this thing. You just powder it. There you go. Oh no. Okay, good. Oh, I was like, oh my god, don't get hit because all that effort.
Oh yeah. He just wants us to. I'm like audibly pog champing over here that he didn't get hit there.
I was frightening because when he lifted up the pot, I'm like, oh no, what if he doesn't? If he gets hit by the other anti-fairy bunny beam there.
So that bomb jump is another reason why this is a punishing dungeon to take a death in. He took the death ward before he had completed the bomb jump. That's important because if you were on the other side of it, you're pretty much looking at not having enough magic later on. He does have enough bombs to do this jump, so this time around, if he manages to get the lineup right, it should be a lot easier for him to finish the rest of the dungeon without having to take, a gigantic time loss.
Ooh, that was a clutch magic drop because I was a little bit worried about that if he was going to end up farming the Penguinators or something for it.
And while those do have good magic drops, you can never be sure you're going to get the full magic bar. I don't know if all of our runners here know about the sword beam strats that you could use as an alternative if you didn't have enough magic.
Makes the successful bomb jump this time around. Still maintains a lot of health. This is good.
With our other runners, there's not a whole lot to talk about. They're in Swamp Palace, a relatively boring dungeon overall. It's a bit of a breather for our runners. We get to see TheSabin. Looks like he was trying to go for the 0 cycle. Ends up a little bit short on the hook dash to get it started. However, it looks like he's going to pull off a 1 cycle here.
Still opts to get the Fire Rod. It takes 2 Fire Rod shots and 1 spin attack. Saves about a second.
That was an excellent fast kill.
Alright, on Rezo's side, he's going to pick up his hook shot. There is a strategy to set up so you can just hook shot to the skull and hook shot again. That's why we see him particularly walking this specific instance here against that statue. He's lined up right now. All he has to do is hold down and right after that text box, and there you go.
Typically speaking, if you're not lining up that way, it's very hard to get that hook shot. Usually you end up hitting the rail on accident. We're going to get to see yelsraek making his attempt on Cold Stare. Looks like he gets the sword spin. Can he keep them in the corner? Looks like he got most of his hits off. As long as he can stay alive and not get hugs, he should be good here.
He's killed 1, so this is a little bit more manageable now. Of course, as you can see, sword beams don't work.
All right, no death's cold stare. I'm happy about that. That's a rough place to die in this run.
Yep, it's definitely rough because once you break the ice, then you have to figure out where to get magic once again.
As our other race makes its way through Swamp, we have TheSabin here making his Death Mountain ascent, gets a really nice sword climb, allowing him to use the hook dash in combination with having his sword outstretched to climb the ladder incredibly quickly. He's going to use a different point as a reference. He's looking for a fairy in these bushes here, which have a high drop rate, but he's going to use a different quick warp position here. Hopefully he can get it. He's on his way to pick up Ether so he can head into Misery Mire.
He still has a chance to try to get another heart piece when he picks up Ice Rod, because the crabs outside that area has a high drop density for hearts as well.
So yeah, why is it so important to have full health walking into Mire?
There is a room called Mire 2 where there's a bunch of these Wizrobes that appear, and they take a while to reappear once again after the first cycle, so that's why we want to try to go for one cycle Mire 2 here. And Sword Beams is a big help for that room.
We can't exactly bring a gun to a sword fight, but we can bring a ranged sword to a I don't know, what do you call those Wizrobe attacks anyway? Energy beams?
I don't know, it's just called Wizrobe Beams, I suppose.
Having those sword beams is huge, though. It looks like TheSabin is not going to do the bird toss. He does the bird kill, the madman.
Oh, maybe he's hoping for a heart. I don't know. Maybe
actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. He's opting to use the fire rod for taking care of most of these. Oh, there's the sword. There's the beams.
Ended up with a little bit of bad luck when it comes to the timing of the Wizrobes in their cycle, but with those sword beams, he can save some magic. We don't have to use a ton of magic in this dungeon, but you definitely don't want to be out when you have to use the Cane of Samaria later. As well as the Fire Rod opportunity. We'll get a magic refill before we have to do that, though.
Alright, Rez tried to go for the swag duck catch there as well, but didn't quite get the spin speed off. Now he's going to have to switch to hookshot here for an easier hookshot spin speed.
TheSabin picks up his magic refill into the torch room. For most of our runners, if you're pretty consistent going into Ganon's tower and Ganon himself, you're running at about 20 minutes remaining for your run when you get to that point. It's a pretty good benchmark. So TheSabin here on a great sub 130 pace, assuming everything goes well.
Alright, we have a good swag duck catch here by Rezo. That one's pretty free. Just get by that rock and then dash towards your swag duck.
So yeah, let me know if I'm saying this wrong, but the idea of that is we want to have spin speed and moving towards the duck to have him pick us up a little bit faster.
Well, it's pretty much you're catching the duck as he's flying towards you, so you're doing it a little bit faster. Other than just standing there waiting for him then.
Speaks to how many different optimizations exist in this game. If you think you're good at the game, there's more you can do. If you think you're bad at the game, I promise there are plenty of things you can learn to make yourself faster. Definitely a game worth running.
And here's why we want to preserve the hearts also for Mire is getting this last key here. You take about 3 hearts of damage. You want to try to keep as many hearts as you can because the fight with Vidi, we were trying to use the iframes from the slime that do 1 heart, but in case one of those eyeballs runs off course and runs into you, they do 4 hearts of damage. Alright, we get to see Rezo with the sword beams intact. Let's see how he goes through Mire 2 quickly here. There you go.
Very nice.
That's why we want to have those sword beams.
Now on the SuperNinTaylor screen, you saw an opportunity where he had some bombs to open up that door. If that was his last bomb, he would have been switching to a fire rod automatically. Could have hit the switch with that and saved himself a menu. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about route diversions. We see SuperNinTaylor picking up his ice rod. Why do you think he's picking it up now?
Well, he wants to pick it up now since then he can just go straight up the mountain for turn around.
I think TheSabin took a direct hit from one of these eyeballs. He has 2 hearts left. He could potentially do one more sword spin, but that's incredibly dangerous at this point.
He's got to also watch out for the lightning now because that can kill him as well, so can't get hit by anything.
To make matters worse, the more of these eyeballs you kill, the less lag there is in the fight, so the eyeball actually does its cycles faster. He manages to emerge victorious, though. That was a very close fight.
He does go up to switch to the mirror here. Let's save a second. Nice Mire 2 by SuperNinTaylor as well. And we all have yelsraek heading towards our last Argus fight here of the day.
Looks like so far he's having a pretty good fight with Argus. Looks like if he can get this puffball, it's going to be a 1 cycle. Very nice.
Good that he was aware not to stand directly above Argus, because that jump of Argus actually does kill you and hurts you quite a bit.
I don't remember offhand how many hearts of damage you take. Is it 2 or is it 4?
Pretty sure it's 2 at this point, but
yeah,
wow,
it is the second dungeon.
It does hurt a lot.
So speaking of our route divergences, I interrupted the SuperNinTaylor fight before, but SuperNinTaylor already picked up his ice rod before heading to Mire. The SuperNinTaylor's going to pick it up after. Ultimately, these runners, they just need to make sure that they have ether before they go to Misery Mire to open it up, and ice rod before Turtle Rock. The order of which they pick these up is kind of irrelevant. You're not going to see much of a real difference. I think there may be a handful of frames they can save by going one route over the other. It's just important not to forget it.
Alright, Rezo does the strat that we're looking for, but the fact that he has that mushroom, it doesn't switch over, see?
Inadvertently getting the extra the extra menu anyway.
Yep, that's what happens if you pick up the mushroom, because that's the next item directly in the menu of the fire rod. He probably just realized that he's like, whoops! I thought I was going for swag points there.
In all likelihood, he probably doesn't normally pick up the safety if he has this mushroom, because that's an item that's a menu that you would anticipate. He wouldn't have dropped the extra bombs otherwise.
Oh no, the SuperNinTaylor, this part where you get dead rocked, it's kind of frustrating. You have to kind of move off screen so you can make them go away.
And on Rezo's side, he narrowly avoids a lightning attack. Sometimes when you take out that...
Oh no, he mirrored! That's why it's dangerous. Oh no.
Good lord. I'm speechless. I don't know what Rezo's got to be feeling right now. That's got to be the worst feeling on earth. He
He tried to opt to mirror on the last bow arrow hit, just switched the mirror, but he thought he probably had the bow still out. So then, yeah.
That being said, this puts SuperNinTaylor in the lead despite having picked up the powder. We saw Rezo had that mushroom, so they both have the capability of doing powder. Right now, though, it's unfortunate that he had that happen. I mean, that's not like, you know, him dying to a boss or anything. That's just a mispress. That's a really rough place to be.
Meanwhile, SuperNin opting to just mirror out instead of going through the rotation room with the damage boost. That's fine. Playing a little bit safer, preserving damage.
It appears that SuperNinTaylor is the only one of our runners so far who didn't accidentally take a poke or a hug from one of those eyeballs. They do 4 hearts of damage, so if you're going to do the damage boost strat, it's very important that that doesn't happen.
Rezo wisely knows that he doesn't have to hit the switch this time around. And SuperNin's in the chop room. Chomp's giving a little bit of bad RNG there. He's using the iframes to get by.
I'm not sure if I caught it, but did he end up getting that fairy RNG?
No, he didn't do the fairy. He didn't take pretty much any damage yet.
The man's so good, he doesn't even need to manipulate the enemy prize packs. I love that.
Yeah, he did the mirror after the rolling pin room to not take as much damage. Oh my god, Rez. Don't make me... Oh my god.
These eyeballs are going to track Link's position. Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. Oh, one more. Get away.
I think
Oh
he
my
wants us to
god.
have a heart attack.
Oh,
And he's out of arrows.
Oh, whew. Oh my god, he clutched that.
It just goes to show you our runners do not give up. This is incredible. Honestly, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't have been surprised if I felt like forfeiting after that mirror, but Rezo keeping it alive here with a very clutch Vitreous fight. He's going to be chasing on the heels of SuperNinTaylor, who is already on his way to Turtle Rock, having already picked up his Ice Rod. We have the TheSabin walking into the back half of Turtle Rock shortly, and yelsraek is on his way to fight Vitreous himself.
And TheSabin optimizing using this sword beams here really nicely. Gets past the switch without getting hit at all. Really clean.
Alright, I've been looking all throughout this tournament for this. Do you think SuperNinTaylor did the Quake Dash?
Unlikely.
Someday, EA, someday.
It is kind of scary because if you jump off that thing, you might jump off really far away from the entrance.
Just for reference, folks, doing an item dash with a Quake there really doesn't save you much time. I think it's like a couple of frames at most, but it looks amazing. So, you know, I'm still holding out.
TheSabin did some really nice laser skip to get by there. Alright, he tried to do the, I knew he tried to throw the pot on the crystal switch and then explode the smart block. That's one way to get around the room, but optimizes the slash and still gets by. Whoa, NMG. Holy, oh my god, that spike.
Those rollers hit you hard, so I mean, if you thought, hey, he's got 3 hearts, he's fine. No, it's not really like that. Looks like the TheSabin's through Trinex's first phase in just 2 cycles. Definitely good to be there with some extra magic to spare. He doesn't need any more for this fight.
Sabin wisely already switched to hook shot before the Trinex exploded, because then he can use the hook shot for the hook dash speed here.
Lucius asking in chat how the lead switched. Rezo accidentally used the mirror right before shooting the last arrow on Vitreous. He had to do the refight. All of his fights he finished with just one, I think maybe 2 hearts on the second one, but very close fights from him. But he's still in this race. It's very close. Yelsraek with just 2 hearts left finishing his Vitreous. These runners are giving us heart attacks over here.
I was like, don't press Y. I was like, oh my god. This is still a really close race, though, between SuperNinTaylor Rezo, for sure.
As the Sabin approaches Ganon's tower here, just a quick update to remind our audience of where these runners are with their PBs. The Sabin has a 128.15. Looks like it might be a little bit out of reach for him, and just presuming that Ganon's tower takes him at least 7 or 8 minutes. However, SuperNinTaylor with the 134.16, he may have a shot at his, presuming the Trinex goes well. Rezovayix has a 132.09, that might be a little bit out of reach. And yelsraek with a 135, he's going to need an exceptional Turtle Rock to try and catch up to his PB pace. So yeah, we noticed that the Sabin's picking up certain keys specifically here in Ganon's Tower. Which keys should our runners be taking, or how many do they need in order to complete this dungeon?
Well, they generally need 1 to go upstairs, but then they would have to kill the mini Helma, and then they would have to get the chest before Moldorm 2. If they want to do the most optimal, they have to get the last chest through Moldorm 2 then. So you just need 1 up the stairs, technically.
It's also handy to go that route for runners if they expect they're going to powder that anti-fairy in that room. They're already heading towards the center of the room at that point. There's also a great magic refill, which would be their last chance pit stop, or I guess the last gas station at 500 miles before Ganon. We got to see 2 different strategies for skipping that warp tile from the Sabin. There's a warp tile there that only costs you an extra warp, but if you were to bonk against the wall, you can try and skip it by sliding past the wall. He ended up taking the damage boost from the beetles instead anyway.
We just call them fire snakes in general, though.
I call them the bane of my existence, particularly in Mire. Ooh, looks like the Sabin managed to get the last Armos Knight before it went into its enrage phase. He managed to have saved 3 arrows doing that. And SuperNinTaylor here finishing up Trinex, very clean fight.
Yeah, we're in good shape here. We have 3 runners in Turtle Rock.
For as many things that can go wrong in A Link to the Past, no major glitches, no save and quit, any % run, that's impressive.
I saw that, Riz. I saw that, Riz. Did you see what he did there?
Oh, he had the laser skip, right?
Yep, but he had some horse lashes afterwards. I know he's a little bit frustrated, but keep it on going, man.
You get to see yelsraek's Chomp Room, getting some pretty difficult RNG walking into the Chomp, but due to his health bar, he was able to squeeze through there. That's a very nervous room for any runner. Here comes Rezo's Trinex fight. Hopefully he gets his item switch there. And prevents the ice. Very nice.
And Sabin's in the rooms that we call the Gauntlet. Getting through them pretty quickly here. Not bad.
If you thought BMOS were bad, imagine BMOS on wheels.
Wow, SuperNinTaylor very, very left opening Gannon's Tower.
I don't think I've ever seen that positioning before. Boonder in the chat asking why we're not allowed to save and quit. There is a category that allows you to save and quit. This is just the most popular category of the game. There's no reason that you wouldn't be able to do that in a different category of run.
In this particular run, the reason why is there's overworld locations where you save and quit that can make the game a little bit faster. For example, once you kill Lamo, if you do save and quit to, like, say, the Sanctuary, to make your weapon faster than the Oh man, sorry for that. There was some lag going on Discord. Had to laugh that off.
Double check, are we still robotic, folks?
No, we are no longer robotic, but thanks, Soundwave. You did a good job.
Yeah, I'm going to say shout-outs and props to the people doing the restream and all of the background stuff. You guys recover really quick. I mean, that was just a moment, so well done. Thank you. Sabin's entering his Aghanim 2 fight. This is our rematcher we talked about earlier. We have the same rules that apply as before, except now we have 2 after images that only shoot reflective shots with a triple on Sabin's screen. Very nice. Double, triple, oh baby.
Wow. That's the way you want to go out right there.
I think that's the first one I've seen. Have we had any other double triples this run that you've seen here?
Yeah. I've seen quite a few double triples already in the tourney. It's really, really interesting to see in the tourney. We had quite a few double triples so far.
Also, while we were robotic there for a second, did TheSabin do a hover on Moldorm 2?
Yes, this is what happened.
This is a madman. Oh my god.
He's on fire right now. I mean, RNG's giving him what it is. Let's see what happens in Ganon Warps now.
Looks like we got the first cycle here. Let's see if he can get a 1-1. No, he actually missed it. He was 1/ short.
But he's in the optimal position for the right Ganon here. He can keep spin attacking here with no troubles.
And he doesn't even do the menu to switch to hookshot. He just bonks off the wall. I love these strats. As we're finishing up the third phase, we have Rezo here doing his Ice Armos fight. Took an unfortunate hit. We have yelsraek on his way to Gannon's Tower, and SuperNinTaylor's in the Gauntlet. Sabin just needs 3 hits here to advance to phase 4, where he's going to attempt to do the Torch Glitch. The Torch Glitch, do you have a good explanation for that?
Well, pretty much you light the left torch before the right one goes out, and then you don't have to worry about the right one ever going out again.
One extra advantage our runners get by doing this Torch Glitch is now they can hold the sword out and use the Fire Rod to time up their shots for Gannon's Warp. This allows them to get an extra sword slash or a spin per cycle, which is the easiest way to hit Ganon during the brief window before he warps. These warps are incredible. And with that, the TheSabin finishes up. Is he going to walk into the Triforce room sub 130? It looks like it.
Yep, he's probably barely going to nip it, but he should get it. Oh, almost. Oh, just right there. Right there! But yeah, GG's in chat for TheSabin for really, really clean run in the end there for us.
That's an incredible race. Just to update everybody, the official Speed Racing TV time that TheSabin finishes with is 1:30:03. An exceptional run, though. Wow.
Meanwhile, we have Rez going through Gauntlet 2 and SuperNinTaylor coming out of it, so he's gonna head to Aga 2 very soon after this Moldorm here.
And with that, we have a mad dash to the top of the tower. Looks like SuperNinTaylor is about to walk into Moldorm 2 in a moment. Should be picking up this key in this chest in order to get through. Does use the powder to get a max heal as well as a max magic refill. Very handy to have this right before we go to Ganon. Rezo not too far behind in Gauntlet 2. He's about to make his attack on Moldorm 2. So we're looking at a one boss difference between these two racers.
Rez unfortunately took a death through Gauntlet, so he has to go through Gaz Tower once again. He's got to make sure he's gonna have to pick up the arrows for sure in the next room, or hope for a prize pack here from these mimics, because he's out of arrows. Rez, mirror Death Warp and get the right chest in Gaz Tower has arrows in the chest.
SuperNinTaylor has finished his Aghanim 2 fight. He's shortly moving on to Ganon. Looks like Rezo is contemplating his fate here. Not exactly certain if he's wondering how he's going to get his arrows or if he's done on this.
I think he's done on this. It looks like he forfeited in the race now.
And with the several deaths that happen throughout the run, it's really tough to continue your run. I mean, you have a lot of frustrating things happening at once. This is a game that with only an hour and a half to 2 hour run, it can be very easy to, get frustrated.
But I do want you guys to give him a hand. He did push through. He had to do Meyer all over again for us and try to make a valiant effort getting back in this race. So
it was definitely a great race. He made a lot of time back on his approach towards Turtle Rock, so I'm impressed by how he hung in there throughout all that. Definitely had a really good run throughout most of these, dungeons. With the TheSabin winning his race, he is set to advance with a 3-0 record. D-Rock, also in this group, a fellow commentator, is 2-1. He is also set to advance. Yelsraek and Jetta BB are looking like they're going to be out.
we're heading to the final phase here for SuperNinTaylor. He's only got Torch Glitch to try to manage hit here, and he should be good. Of course, once again, we need 12 spin attacks to finish off Ganon in this final form here. Meanwhile, yelsraek with a really nice Lamo 2 right there. Right before Lamo was vaporized.
And Taylor in a tough position. He can't take any fire bat attacks or Ganon hugs. He is in one-hit KO mode here.
Okay, he's just gonna have to clutch this out. No, he does.
It is.
And a GG to SuperNinTaylor for finish up the race. Looks like he has a time on 1:35 and 17.
Fantastic race from everybody around. Looks like we are joined by our winner of the top race here, TheSabin. GG, nice race.
Yeah, really nice race, Sabin.
Thanks. So yeah, I haven't played it for a while, so I kind of took everything safe. But I'm really happy with G Tower how it went, because I got most of the strat. I got Ice Armors was bad, but the rest was pretty good, and I got the 2-cycle. I get 2, so can't ask more than that.
Yeah, your G Tower was spicy all the way through. And there's SuperNinTaylor, our other winner of the race. Hey, congrats.
GG. May need to configure his push to talk. Both of you guys doing really great with your races, though. TheSabin, you are secured to advance due to this victory. I believe you're 3-0 in your group. Well done.
Hello?
Hey, there you are.
How's it going?
Well, hey, GG on that great race, SuperNinTaylor. That was fantastic to watch.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Rezo. Honestly, I don't think I deserved that win. Just by how I played. I don't know. I feel like I made at least one big mistake in every single split. I think I was just nervous.
Little things can sometimes cost us a lot of time, though. Rezo had a really rough mirror against Vitreous. He accidentally used the mirror on his way to his last arrow. Our hearts go out to him. That's really tough.
I kind of saw that. I peeked over. I had the stream open on my phone, my Android, so I kind of peeked over when he was at Vitreous, because I noticed he was low on health, and as bad as it sounds, I was kind of like, please get hit by an eyeball. I know it sounds bad, but then I looked, and I looked at the right time. Right as I looked, I saw him, I saw some kind of mirror animation. I was like, no way, he did not just mirror. Then I saw him starting from the beginning with his low health, and I was like, no way, I'm in this again.
So this does some interesting things for your group. As I understand, you're 2-1 now. Shadow only has 1 match done. Rezovayix is now 1-1. So I guess the matches that remain with Bamboo Shadow are going to basically determine how this tiebreak works out. Rezovayix taking the forfeit here will have a 3-hour time for this race, so his average time is impacted.
So I think, if Rezo beats Bamboo, it's going to be a 3-way tie. And then they're going to take the average times. And with Rezo forfeiting, that might do him in, unless he gets like a 1-minute finish in this next race or something. Go EG. But if Bamboo wins, it's going to be me and Bamboo that advances. If Rezo wins, 3-way tie, and it's probably still me and Bamboo just because of that 3-hour time now for Rezo.
With that, our last remaining runner, yelsraek, is in Ganon's fight right now. He is advancing through his last slash of Phase 3. We're going to have him in Phase 4 in a moment. 12 more sword spins, and we got this. Let's see if he gets the torch glitch. He has a very close Ganon warp here.
Nice. Got it. All right, Sabin, we gotta go back to you now. So how'd you feel your overall run was this time around?
Pretty sloppy, to be honest. Like, wasn't that good, but I didn't die, so which is a plus. I failed. I threw the bomb like before. That there's a bit in Ice Buzz. I threw the bomb like 3 times, failing it. So yeah, I had to farm more bombs. I took all little thing like that. I didn't do anything major, but yeah, overall happy. I 130 129, 148 is usually what I go for during races. Like I'm not going super hardcore in a race setting, so also depends on the opponent as well.
Well, he had us by the edge of our seats getting that 130.03. I mean, that was about as close to 130 as a runner is going to get in most situations.
Yeah, and I think I started a little late on the timer on Speed Racing TV, so maybe like 1-2 seconds off my light split timer. But
Yeah, I kind of started late too. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, okay, I'll ready up. And all of a sudden the timer is going down. I was like, holy crap, was I the last to ready up? And I just wasn't even ready for that.
the thing is, I heard the sound effect. I was confused where it came from. So I
Yeah.
think it's from the Speed Racing TV. So I was like, all right.
With that, though, it looks like yelsraek has finished up his Ganon fight. He finishes with an official Speed Racing TV time of... Actually, I don't think he's actually hit his dot done. yelsraek out there, please don't forget to...
yelsraek, make sure you dot done.
Yeah, I joined the interview before actually dot dunning. Sorry about that.
Speed
Oh my
Racing
God.
interview.
How we doing, folks?
Well, you finished with a time of 1:41.17 officially on Speed Racing TV, but with a 1:40 unofficially on the stream. Hey, great race.
Thank you so much. Yeah, GG TheSabin. That was that's quite a performance there, throwing out a 130. But that's pretty much where you've been this whole tournament so far. So
Yeah, I know you tweeted today that you wanted to go for like a PB attempt in this race. So I'm not sure if that's why it went like that.
So I mean, knowing that I was mathematically eliminated, essentially, I just wanted to put on a good show, essentially. But what it really came down to was I wanted to just go Sankheart and fake powder, and then I died at Dalmasaur, and I'm like, well, never mind. Clearly, my execution is not really looking that great, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get the powder, and I needed it several times, so so it goes. But,
Well, we're happy to see you pick it up after the Helm of Death. That's a very frustrating place to die in a run, so thanks for pushing on through it.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you the last time I actually ran into Helmasaur. Like literally just like walked into him. I always have my sword out preventatively to keep myself from bonking into him, and that second phase when he throws fireballs out and the tails come, and I have the darndest time avoiding it all, and sure enough he bonked me. So but it's okay. Fought through. I had a couple golds down the stretch, which was really nice because Turtle Rock has always been a thorn in my side. So to have a really nice T-Rock for a change was really good.
I thought I was screwed in T-Rock when I messed up the roller room. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to my death in this chain chomp room, but somehow they didn't hit me. Even when the chain chomp ate one of my blocks.
Oh jeez, yeah, I hate it when they do that. Yeah, no, the chain chomps seemed like they were going to be friendly to me because for whatever reason, my tempo is always better when I'm going right rather than left. And the right chain chomp moved away, so I went in, and then he just walked, like, basically hopped right into me. They were both basically right on top of me as my iframes dropped out, so I nearly died, but didn't die. That's the important part. But yeah, so...
Yeah, when I got to Trimax... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I got to Trinex, I was like, just do the front door strat. I'm more used to it. It's safer. I'm in the lead. Then I got in there, and I was just... I don't know what I was doing. I was like, you know what, YOLO, and I just went for the backdoor strat. I was trying to convince myself just to be safe because I was in the lead, but went for it anyway. No regrets.
Yeah, that's always better. Just do what you're comfortable with. I often find that when I try to back off, that's when I make more mistakes because I end up backing away from things that I do regularly, and that just gets me in more trouble.
Yeah.
But congratulations, TheSabin, for winning the group, and best of luck in the bracket. Nin, are you advancing on, or is your group still unsettled at this point?
I mean, I guess technically there could be a three-way tie, but I think it's pretty unlikely there's any other outcome other than me and Bamboo moving on.
Excellent. Well, GG to you as well.
Yeah, because Rezo would have to beat Bamboo, and even then it goes to average times, and with him forfeiting and getting a 3-hour time, I think that's kind of going to do him in.
Yeah, I think I needed Sabin to forfeit this race for me to have a chance. I did the math. I'm like, for me to catch up on average times with D-Rock, I need a 125. And my PB is 135. Like, my golds aren't even sub 130. So I'm like, well, that's not happening.
Just goes to show you how competitive this tournament is. It's crazy how fast people are.
Oh,
yeah.
they're so good. There's so much talent in this pool. It's really crazy.
I'm impressed with like how much better everyone got in general from the announcement of the tournament to now. Like, so many people have been grinding and improving so much.
Oh, for sure. You know, I mean, it was, for me, you know, I had picked this game up the middle of last year. I got to like 144, and then I put it down for months, knowing that I always wanted to come back to the game, and I needed some sort of kick in the pants to do it. And the tournament came up. I'm like, well, if I sign up, then I'll force myself to go back to grinding. And yeah, now I've brought my PB down 9 minutes, and you know, it's
Nice.
just been great. So
Yeah, I started just playing rando, and then I'll give a shout out to Fricker22. He's probably still in the chat, but he's one who convinced me to do NMG when the tournament was starting, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And I've actually been enjoying it a lot. Ever since practicing NMG, I haven't even touched rando.
well, definitely shout outs to Fricker for that. And I know that Fricker's times in particular have been blowing up. Those
Yeah.
PBs have been coming down super fast.
Oh yeah. Yep. 2018, the age of Fricker. Watch out for him.
So I don't know if any other groups are done, but this finishes Group Snapdragon. We are 6 of 6. All of our matches are now done. So again, GG to TheSabin and GG to D-Rock for advancing out of the Snapdragon group and into the brackets.
Took a quick look at the challenge page. Actually, yeah, this is the only group that has had its fate determined. Everybody has finished the group matches. By the way, very far in advance. Thanks for getting these done so quickly.
We did it.
Yeah. World record.
World record group finish. Well, thanks so much for you guys racing. It was enjoyable to commentate. Hope you guys had a lot of fun. Good luck to you both in your bracket stages, NMG and SuperNinTaylor.
Yep. Thanks for commentating.
Thanks.
Our pleasure.
And looking up on the schedule, tomorrow we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races for you. And they'll be all over speed gaming, I would believe, at this moment. But our first race will start off at 12 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Time. Jet 82 with Authored Blues, and it'll be a 4-way race. But two races, and then the other race will be Scrivo and Nikki Noel. Then our next race we'll have at 2 p.m. with Takazi TV and Mutsky, another 4-way, and Irifram and Rezovayix, also known as Rezi. Then we'll have 3 p.m. we have Mchan 338 versus Canster 786. 4 p.m. we have Jerby versus Cransoon. 6 p.m. Gerdo versus Magus. 10 p.m. we'll have Kolthor the Barbarian versus Solidus. And 10 p.m. once again we have Zero Rush versus Lyra.
A full day of Link to the Past, no major glitches, no save and quit, any percent speed runs for you to enjoy. This is not the end of the group stage either. We have still quite a few matches left to finish up. This appears to be the last program for speed gaming for the evening, so I think we should probably close it out with that. Just to remind everybody about who we are in the comms, that was Kie 408, and I'm Eudaimonistic.
Thank you for a great race for our runners, and thank you, viewers, for watching tonight.
Take it easy, folks. Thanks again.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a great evening, morning, or afternoon, depending where you are.